My name is Bizzy Baker, and I can read minds. Not every mind, not every time, but it happens, and believe me when I say it's not all it's cracked up to be. Good morning. I hold up the craft to the elderly man reading his paper. As a manager of the Country Cottage Inn, I certainly don't mind helping out in the cafe when it's needed. More coffee?
Please.
He nods politely.
Lovely lady. Lovely inn. I'm glad I talked my wife into coming.
He thinks to himself and frowns.
Fine. She talked me into it, as she likes to remind me. She's always right. I'll never admit to it, but it sure is true.
I can't help but chuckle at his private thoughts as I fill his mug to the brim. Reading minds isn't always this pleasant. For instance, the time I was at junior prom and my date smiled right at me and thought to himself how much the dress I was wearing belonged on a corpse at the morgue. Or the time I shared my first kiss, and the boy whose lips had just assaulted mine brazenly wished I was some girl named Tina. I'm not Tina. I will never be Tina. But at times I wish I could trade places with just about anyone. I set down the carafe and head outside the cafe right past the patio and onto the white, sandy beach where my cat springs up out of nowhere. I sigh dreamily as the sapphire waves crash over the shoreline. My sweet kitten, whom I aptly and ironically named Fish, and I stride farther away from the cottage cafe and watch as the morning swells foam over the shoreline. If my strange gift has given me anything wonderful, it's been the ability to read the minds of animals. And I never shy away from striking up a conversation with them. The great thing about it is that people never question your sanity when you're talking sweetly to a cute, furry little creature. The wind picks up, causing the ocean to churn like a washing machine ready to hit the spin cycle. Fish trots about 3 feet ahead of me and freezes. Her long, fluffy fur stands on edge in a ridge over her back, as she looks wide-eyed and terrified down to my right. And I turn my head that way just in time to see a white and red freckled dog bounding this way at 1,000,000 miles per hour. And just like that, Fish darts to my left in a blur. "Fish!" I scream as I run out a few feet to my left. But no sooner do I dart in her direction than she's already dashed past me the other way. The rather large dog barks up a storm with his tail pointed up and ears standing erect as he does his best to chase her. "No, stop, Fish!" I howl in a tizzy as my sweet cat bolts my way. And just as I'm about to catch her, she zooms right between my legs, and so does that pesky pooch, knocking me off balance in the effort. Oh no! I buck backwards and trip over a piece of driftwood. My legs do a little tap dance as I try to regain my footing. But it's no use. I land smack on my bottom, in the wet, mushy sand as water pools around me in what feels like a hostile, foamy display. I struggle to rise as a wall of water engulfs me from behind, and I'm left gasping and reeling as I get sucked out to sea a good 10 feet. It's as if every nightmare I've ever had has suddenly come to life and sprung on me from behind in the form of a killer wave. "Hey!" A pair of arms gesticulate wildly as a man with dark hair wearing a full 3-piece suit wades in cautiously, yet quickly, in an effort to give me a hand. "I've got you," he shouts as I flail and gasp, trying my best to find my footing as another wave crashes overhead, this time right over the two of us. "Geez," he shouts as he clasps his hand onto mine. Only instead of pulling me towards the shore, a swell pulls us both farther in the opposite direction. "Help!" I scream at the top of my lungs, but with the wind picking up and the violent waves sloshing around us, I can hardly hear myself. My feet lose their grip at the bottom, and my body demands to move with the wild current. But I'm holding onto the man in his nice 3-piece suit, as if he were a life preserver. "Swim with the horizon," he shouts as he does his best to reel me in. But the violent swells have an entirely different idea. "I'm going to die," I shout, as I do my best to hoist myself back in the direction of the shore where I spot both Fish and that naughty freckled cutie pie, who thought it was a good idea to give a chase in the first place, both seated, a safe distance from the waterline, as they watch us struggle our way to safety. "Fish, call for help!" "Duck!" The man in the 3-piece suit shouts, and I get pulled under as another hostile wave crashes overhead. We cork back up to the surface, and he reels me in tight, wrapping an arm around my waist, and I see him for the very first time. My heart detonates just once at the sight of him. dark hair plastered to his head, gorgeous bone structure, a peppering of dark stubble gracing his cheeks, but it's his eyes. I've never seen such light gray eyes. They're stunning. And in turn, they add a breathtaking allure to his already comely features.
Beautiful.
Just that word alone roams through his mind, and a breath hitches in my throat when I hear it. For a moment, it's as if all time stands still, and those glowing eyes of his are conducting a takedown of all my good senses.